Yo, what is up guys? Jamie from Jamie's Detailing. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my entire exterior detailing process on a client's Audi S4. Now this is just about a brand new vehicle. I believe he just got it about 5 months ago, and he just got back from a huge trip down south and driving around in Georgia, which if you guys know anything about Georgia, it has some crazy red clay and dust down there like crazy. So anyways, our goal today is to get all of the dust, all of the dirt, and everything off of this car, and to get this thing reset to how it looked when he bought it 5 months ago at the dealership. So I'm going to be taking you guys through my entire process from start to finish, and I think this will be a great video for those of you looking to clean up your own cars, and even for a lot of you guys who are just looking for more tips and advice if you guys are professionals working on other clients' vehicles. So let's not waste any time today, guys. Let's jump straight into today's detail. First thing that I always start with on a detail is a quick video inspection. This just is to minimize any risk or any kind of callbacks later on if there's damage or anything on a vehicle that you want to document ahead of time. It's always smartest to do it on video, and that way you guys have a quick little video that you guys can show the client, some before and after kind of shots and stuff like that. Clients love that kind of stuff. So if you guys can, take a quick video of your client's vehicle, that is always going to help reduce some of the anybody that may come back later and say, hey, you scratched my car, or, hey, there's a dent here, I don't know if that was there before the detail, because clients don't always walk around their cars and look at every single little thing like we as detailers do. So anyways, guys, it's always a good idea to do a quick video assessment of the car. That way, if there's anything wrong with it, any defects, you guys can document those and show those to your client later on. And then you can also, upcharge. You guys can charge for those fixes, charge for those different scratch removals or paint transfer removal, or you can upsell them on the headlights. It's always a good idea to do an inspection and really assess what that vehicle needs and doesn't need before you guys get into the detail. So anyways, we just got done with our inspection. I talked about that for way too long, but we just got done with our quick inspection on the Audi S4, and now it's actually time to get started on here. There's nothing crazy that we need to address with our client. There's no big scratches or anything that we can really upsell our client on. This client specifically just wants a basic detail, and he wants it just kind of reset to how he bought it when he first got it from the factory. So now that our video assessment is done, the first thing that I always start on is the wheels. Now, when it comes to wheels and tires, guys, I like to keep it simple. For my wheels and tires for this particular detail, I'm going to be using Superior Products Dark Fury. Now, this is the wheel cleaner that I use for almost every single detail that I do. I use Dark Fury. It is an amazing wheel cleaner and really just helps pull all the dirt, contaminants, brake dust. It gets rid of the browning on the tires. It does a lot of work, and it's very cost effective, very economical for us as professional detailers who are literally running through gallons of chemicals on, a bi-weekly basis, a monthly basis, maybe even a weekly basis for some of your chemicals. But it's good to have cost-effective chemicals, especially if you guys are doing a high volume of vehicles. So anyways, Dark Fury is typically what I use for the wheel faces. Now, I usually end up just spraying this all over the wheel and tire, but I typically like to use an APC on the tires itself. So for this particular vehicle, we're doing Dark Fury on the wheel faces, and we are doing Muscle Magic for our tires. Now, Muscle Magic, I think, does an amazing job at actually stripping all the browning off the tires, which is why I typically will use it over a non-acid cleaner or something else. It just does an awesome job at getting rid of all the browning on the tires. So you really just kind of got to let it sit there for 10, 20, 30 seconds, do a little scrub, and your tires are going to be good to go. So that's really my kind of 1-2 punch for wheels these days, guys. It's just Dark Fury and a simple APC. I always use Muscle Magic, but you guys could totally use whatever APC you guys like best, whether that's Muscle Magic or purple power or whatever you guys like. You guys can use whatever APC you want on your tires, but for these deep cleans I am typically using Muscle Magic. One thing that I do need to mention about using non-acid cleaners, and this goes for a ton of non-acid cleaners, not just Dark Fury, but non-acid cleaners can stain blacktop driveways, and they can also stain concrete driveways. Now on blacktop driveways, I actually have an example of this, but on blacktop driveways, they actually can fade or dull the blacktop. And this really doesn't go away. It takes forever for it to go away, but really what I think is happening is the rest of the driveway is just fading to match where you actually accelerated the fading of the driveway with your non-acid cleaner. So I have noticed that these kind of fade or go away over time, but I think really what it is it's the blacktop on your driveway that's just getting lighter and matching the non-acid cleaning stains. But on concrete, this actually will make these really, really ugly orange spots on the concrete. So one huge thing that you guys can do to minimize the risk of this happening is actually just rinsing the driveway first. So make sure that the driveway is wet before it gets non-acid cleaner on it. So that's a huge tip for you guys that are using non-acid cleaners, not just Dark Fury, but tons of different non-acid cleaners will do this, and that's staining the surfaces that you're working on. So make sure that you're doing what you can to avoid that. Spray down the surface before you actually spray down the tires. Make sure that you're, even if you don't rinse your tires or rinse your wheel faces and stuff first, make sure that you spray down the surface that you're working on. So if you're working on a blacktop driveway, spray down the blacktop driveway underneath the car and around the wheels. And if you're working on concrete, do the same with the concrete. That way you'll avoid having these kind of stains when you guys are working on different vehicles or working in different clients' driveways or different clients' spots. So make sure that you guys know that about non-acid cleaners, is that they can stain just like a lot of other cleaners in this industry. They can stain, surfaces that are not meant to be on, like concrete and blacktop. Now, when it comes to tools that I use to actually clean my wheels, I typically use a few different tools. I usually start off with my wheel or my barrel brush. Now, I have been thinking about getting a different barrel brush, but currently this is the one I'm using. It's just a simple one off Amazon, and it works amazing for 90% of the vehicles that I'm working on, but there are some vehicles that I'm working on where this is just a little bit too thick to get in between the caliper and the wheel itself when I'm cleaning in there. So this is one tool that I have been thinking about getting an additional tool for those particular cars that have the bigger brake kits, or for cars that, you really just need something thinner to get in between some really thin, close spokes or something like that. But anyways, guys, this is the barrel brush that I'm currently using, and I'll make sure that I leave links to all of the stuff that I mentioned in today's video down in the description. But you guys can also check out all of the chemicals and tools and products and everything that I use professionally over on my website at jamiesdetailing.com/resources. So make sure you check out the resources page if you guys have any questions about any of the products or chemicals, and they're not linked in the description of this video. Aside from our barrel brush, the next tool that I'm typically using, and this is going in order of typically the way that I do it, the next tool that I'm using is usually just a simple wheel brush. Some kind of wheel brush that I can use for the face of the wheels, the tires, pretty much everything, guys. If I can use one brush on everything, that's gonna save me time from switching between tools, and it's also just, one less thing that I have to carry in the car, as opposed to carrying a whole bunch of different brushes, or, one brush to do the inside of the spokes, one brush to do the wheel face, one brush to do the barrels. Some people are starting to get way too into this stuff, guys, and you can if you want. If that's your prerogative, you can totally do that, but I just like having the basics, the simple stuff. I don't need all the extra stuff. It just complicates the job and makes things to end up taking longer. So anyways, guys, a simple tire brush. I use a salt and pepper brush. This is all you need to get your wheel faces clean most of the time. Now, for particular wheels that may have like some tighter nooks and crannies, I still find a typical standard detail brush really works well to get in between those cracks and crevices. So I still use my work stuff brush all the time on wheels and wheel faces. And but yeah, if I do need any kind of smaller brush than my typical wheel brush, then I just use my work stuff brush. So anyways, those are pretty much the 3 brushes that I use to actually get my wheels and tires clean. So I typically start on, one wheel and just work my way around the vehicle, and this usually only takes me around 20 minutes or so, maybe 25 minutes to clean all 4 wheels. So it's really not that bad. It goes by quick, and you don't need a lot of chemicals or anything to get this job done. So yeah, just keep it simple, and it'll go by quick. Now, moving on from our wheels and tires, guys, the next thing that I always like to do is actually pre-soak the vehicle. This is the only time that I'm going to be foaming down the vehicle for this particular detail. This vehicle is not going to be getting clay barred or have any kind of iron removal or anything like that for this particular wash. This is just a basic wash. So for this particular wash, we're going to be doing a pre-soak step. So the first thing that I do when I'm pre-soaking my vehicle is I actually go around the entire lower portion of the vehicle, and I actually missed this on film, but I go around the entire lower portion of the vehicle with Dark Fury. Now, Dark Fury works amazing as a pre-soak, and it will actually help pull all the dirt and contaminants off of the paint. So what I do is I spray pretty much the entire lower half of the vehicle from everything below the windows. I pretty much spray, including the hood. So I pretty much foam all of the car with just a little pump sprayer and some Dark Fury. And as soon as I get done applying the Dark Fury, I then foam over the Dark Fury. The biggest reason that I'm foaming over the Dark Fury is, one, I want to get a little bit more surfactants or a little bit more soap and stuff on this vehicle to help kind of pull everything off of the vehicle. But I also want to increase the dwell time of the Dark Fury. I don't want the Dark Fury. I know that Dark Fury can dry on the vehicle's paint and it won't do anything, but maybe it's just that mentality that I have of being a detailer. I don't really want my chemicals to dry on the vehicle. So the biggest reason I do this, I foam the vehicle after I use Dark Fury. I could literally just foam the vehicle with Dark Fury if I wanted, but it just helps save on chemicals and all of that kind of stuff, and foaming the soap is probably the cheapest option. So I like to just use the Dark Fury where I need it on the lower half of the vehicle, and then I foam the entire vehicle, and that increases the dwell time for the Dark Fury, and it pre-soaks the whole rest of the vehicle, the parts of the vehicle that I didn't spray with the Dark Fury that really don't have as much contamination on them, like the windows, the roof, all of those areas don't really have as much contamination. Now, another huge reason we're using that Dark Fury is to get rid of all of the bugs on this vehicle. This vehicle just came back from that big trip to Georgia, and driving through all those, driving through all the different places you're going to have to drive through to get back to Illinois, you're going to hit hella bugs. And this thing is caked on with bugs. And this is after driving in the rain and all his, normal wash processes going through the automatics and that type of stuff. Dark Fury does an amazing job at actually breaking down all those bug guts and those dried up bugs that are on the vehicle, and having the longer dwell time with the soap on top of that is really going to help give this pre-soak plenty of time to actually break down all those bug guts and all the stuff that's on the vehicle that is really just going to break down. And then when we come through with our pressure washer and rinse off all this pre-soak, the pressure washer is going to do the rest of the work for us as far as taking off all of those contaminants. So this is my favorite way to actually wash a vehicle, guys, is with this pre-soak step, especially on most of my clients' vehicles that are coming to me and that aren't getting washed on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, or some of them don't even get washed once a month, guys. So a lot of the cars that I'm washing always need that pre-soak stage before I can go into a rinseless wash or a contact wash of some sort. Just got done with our pre-soak stage, and this car happens to have a huge tar spot on it. Now, I'm not sure how this tar got here. It's probably just one of those things you're driving by and a little bit of tar gets thrown up on your vehicle and ends up making a huge mess. But the client wasn't able to get this tar off, but I use a specialty adhesive remover from 3M, and it's literally called 3M Specialty Adhesive Remover. This is one of the strongest adhesive removers I've ever used, and it's extremely safe to use on the paint. But one thing that I've always found when you use even stuff like tar and sap remover or some of these aerosol based solvents is if you're using them on a dry vehicle with a dry microfiber towel, then you're going to have a higher chance of micro marring the vehicle. So having those little swipe spots from where you're rubbing or where you're wiping or whatever. So in order to reduce the risk of having that micro marring or anything like that from the towel that I'm using or from the solvents that I'm using, I actually like to do this step after the pre-soak step when I know that most of the contaminants are now off of the vehicle and now we're actually getting ready to do our contact wash phase. Before I jump into that contact wash phase, this is where I'll actually hit the vehicle with the tar and sap removers, the adhesive removers, all that kind of stuff is when the vehicle is still wet. That way it reduces the chance of micro marring just a little bit more. And yeah, I find that the cleaners still do just as well of a job spraying them on the water or directly on the water or whatever. You guys can literally see when I spray it on this tar, it literally just melts the tar away and it's literally one wipe and we're done. So I typically use these things when the vehicle is wet. It's a good way to just minimize risk. And yeah, that's typically how I use this 3M specialty adhesive remover. Now we can actually go into the contact wash. Because this vehicle came out so well with our initial pre-soak, I know that I'll be able to get away with just using a simple rinseless wash. It is probably one of the safest ways of washing a vehicle or hand washing a vehicle is with a rinseless wash solution, just because of the surfactants that it's using, the way that it cleans the paint, the way that it pulls the rest of the contaminants off of the vehicle. Rinseless wash, in my opinion, is probably the way to go these days. You don't really need to bust out the bucket and soap and do a two bucket wash method, and you don't need any of that these days, guys. You just need a good rinseless wash, a good sponge, and you can get the job done that way. Now, when I do move on to this rinseless wash phase, this is one way that I can massively save time, because as I get done washing or cleaning a certain section of the vehicle, right away I can spray it with my Technician's Choice 582. This is basically a sealant. It's a short-term sealant or a detail spray with protection added into it that is going to allow your vehicle to, beat off the water and protect the paint for a couple weeks. Now, this isn't long-term protection whatsoever, but this is definitely enough protection to get you guys by to your next wash. Bumping back over to the rinseless wash method, guys, for this particular rinseless wash, I'm using McKee's N914. McKee's N914 is probably one of my favorite rinseless washes. It's just a pure rinseless wash. I like the smell of it. I like the way that it cleans, and I think that it does a really, really good job cleaning. And when this stuff does dry on the vehicle, if it was to dry on the vehicle, it does not really leave heavy polymer spots or anything like that. So it's really, really quick to clean up if it does dry on a vehicle. And yeah, it's just literally one of my favorite rinseless washes on the market. I wish Superior Products would come out with a rinseless wash, just so I could see what kind of stuff they would come out with as far as a rinseless wash goes. But for right now, I really just use McKee's N914. I also use O&R, and there's one more that I have in the car, P&S Absolute. Those are the three rinseless washes that I really use. Beyond that, I really don't have a ton of other rinseless washes, but those are the three main ones that I use. And yeah, they all work really, really good, but McKee's is like the one that I use the most because, one, it's the most versatile. You can use it for a ton of different things, including a bunch of off-label uses. You can find all that stuff on the resources page. There's a dilution ratio book with all the off-label use cases for all the different chemicals that I use. Anyways, But but anyways, guys, you can check out that. It has all the different use cases for McKee's, but I always use McKee's because it has no added protection in it, so I can just add the protection that I want to add when I'm done with the contact wash. So that's the reason that I really love McKee's the most. Once you guys get done actually cleaning up a section, I always like to actually spray it down with that Tech 582, and then I go straight into my drying process. That way, I'm actually not having to double back and come around to that spot again on the vehicle. At that time, that should be pretty much all that's done. Once I make it all the way around the vehicle with the rinseless wash, I should be done after I'm done with that, because I was adding protection and drying along the way. So I kind of had my wash in one hand, and I had my towel in the other hand drying it. So as soon as I get done washing a section, grab my technician's choice, spray it, dry it, and I'm done. I'm moving on to the next section. So I usually start with the roof, then I'll do the sides of the vehicle and kind of work my way to the hood, then the other side, then the tailgate and the rear bumper area, and by then I'm all done with the whole vehicle. That is a super quick way to finish the vehicle. After I got done with this, guys, this is when we can actually do any last minute touch-ups. This vehicle really didn't have any touch-ups that I needed to do. It had a couple little spots with some bug guts still on there. The bug guts on this car were absolutely caked on there. I could tell that they had been on there and been dried for quite some time. If that happens with those bug guts, even after your contact wash, if you didn't get in there scraping stuff like you shouldn't be doing anyways, then there's probably still going to be some bug guts on there, and in that case, I will typically hit it with some kind of solvent or some kind of cleaner that'll really help strip those bugs off. I find that one that works really, really good just to get bugs off is if you just spray like a little on a microfiber towel. That's literally all you need. A couple quick sprays, and then you just use that and you can wipe the bug guts right off. Whatever bug guts are left, go over that with all the bug spots with that. Don't use something like that on plastic because it will fade plastic. Luckily, this car the entire car is painted. All the black plastics are clear coated. It doesn't have any exposed plastic like, you know, a Chevy or my Scion or other vehicles might. So this is a super nice vehicle, so we don't really have to worry about stuff like that. Once you guys get done with all of your touch-ups on the vehicle, the last thing that I typically do is I actually dress all the tires. Now, to dress the tires, I actually ended up using Shine Logic by Chemical Guys. I just have a bunch of this stuff left. I bought like 2 cans of this stuff, so I have a bunch left. And I wanted to see what it would look like on this guy's wheels. He had the type of tires that look good with a shinier dressing, and that's typically the tires that are really smooth on the sidewalls. So like my Pirellis, they're super smooth on the sidewalls. I forget what tires he had, but they're super smooth on the sidewalls. Those tires usually look good with a little bit of extra gloss on those tires. So I went ahead and threw some Shine Logic Tire Shine by Chemical Guys on there. I really like this tire shine, and since this guy is going to be picking this car up right away as soon as we're done, I actually went over it with this Suds Lab little tire applicator. I love this applicator. I saw it over at Walmart. I think it was like $4 or $5 or something like that. It was really cheap, but I thought this would be an awesome applicator that I could just dedicate to all my aerosol-based tire dressings. And this actually did an awesome job at kind of finishing off the tires, and I didn't want there to be any sling if this guy came and was like there immediately to pick it up. So I went around the whole entire tire, which does knock back a ton of the gloss to the tire, but it still looks really good, and you guys will see that in the final shots of this thing. But that did a great job at just evening out the tire, getting it done quick, and it left a nice natural finish to the tire. Not overly shiny, but it definitely had more shine than your average water-based dressing. So I really like the way that this specific aerosol tire dressing is working so far, and I'll probably end up going and getting another can of it, which reminds me, last week we did a giveaway, and I owe one of you guys a a bottle of this stuff, whether I actually ship it out to you guys, or I just send you guys, you know, $8-10 or however much it costs at the time. I'm just gonna go ahead and send you guys one of these. So let's go ahead and knock out this giveaway. So I'm actually just gonna go over to the previous video, and at random I'm going to pick one of the comments on this video. So I got last week's video all pulled up. It looks like we had a total of 36 comments on the last video, so you guys had a pretty high chance of winning the giveaway. As far as, you know, there's only 36 people in these comments, and probably half of them are mine. So let's actually check out all of these comments, and I'm gonna read through them all one more time, and then I'm gonna pick somebody to win. Let's just start off at the top. We have So818 Cal. I wish I could just wipe down my tires, lol. As a weekend warrior, I'm generally using my APCs and Dark Fury. I like using CG VRP because it doesn't sling. I must admit, I do love a shiny wet tire. And yeah, dude, I totally love wet tires as well. I don't know why so many people don't like wet tire looks, and I think it's really just because when people see wet tires, they think sling, all right? And I think that that's kind of ruined the whole wet tire look for a lot of people, because they just don't want to deal with the sling and the headaches of dealing with a lot of the shinier tire dressings. So a lot of people just moved over to, you know, water-based tire dressings. For the most part, they can be a little bit safer or better for your tires, and they're much better for you as a detailer and all of that kind of stuff. Anyways, guys, I am not going to read through every single one of these comments here with you guys, but I'm just kind of reading through all these comments one last time, and yeah. Alright guys, so I think I have selected a winner for this. Now, I was debating between just picking somebody at random. I didn't make any rules for this giveaway. I was just going to do it completely random, and the way that somebody's going to win is going to be random as well. But I kind of wanted to give it away to somebody who took time to write a little bit more in the comment section. So I see that Rough Draft 214 took quite a minute to actually compose a little bit of a response. So let's go ahead and take some time to actually read his response. From a professional standpoint, I can see where using an aerosol would save you time. Even if it were just a few minutes per tire, it would make a difference throughout the day. I try to avoid them personally since VOCs are obviously bad, especially for our lungs, so at least you're outside. But there are some things I can't avoid. I think he's talking about he doesn't want to, some things he can't avoid, as in he doesn't want to be around the VOCs and stuff like that, which I totally understand. But I recently switched to a spray glass cleaner, and while it's okay, it didn't compare to my Aquapel or Stoners, so the aerosols are the clear winner. Chemical guys could do with a few less SKUs, but they are kind of the gateway brand that gets people into detailing, so they have their place in the detailing world, as annoying as their product line can be. Now, I agree with absolutely everything that you said in this rough draft. As a professional, this is probably one of the biggest reasons that I use aerosol-based tire dressings, is because it's fast. And if I can get done dressing my tires, all I gotta do is grab a little can, give it a quick shake, and spray all 4 tires, and I'm done. That is a huge time savings between, you know, you got to dilute your water-based dressing. Once you dilute it, then you got to, you know, run your air hose out. For me personally, then I got to run my air hose out there. Then I got to make sure my paint sprayer or my sprayer is full of the water-based dressing. Then I can actually go around, apply it to each wheel. Then I need to go back and wipe it with a microfiber towel or something like that, just to make sure that I'm not going to get any sling, and that turns into a whole thing, right guys? But the aerosol tire dressings, you can literally just spray them around the tire and you're good, and you're done, you're good to go. So huge point right there. They're quick, they're easy, and that in itself is valuable to a lot of professionals. So anyways, Next up, he says I try to avoid them personally since VOCs are obviously bad. Yes, VOCs are definitely bad. In fact, a lot of my favorite tire dressings I actually cannot even buy here in Illinois anymore because they are not VOC compliant. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I sometimes have friends in other states, Texas, and wherever else. They will just send me some VOC, or next time they're in town, they'll just drive them over to me, and I'll get my VOC, heavy VOC tire dressings that work amazing, last super long. But again, guys, there's a health risk to it. There's a concern to it with your health, spraying those type of aerosols and breathing in the fumes and all of that kind of stuff. So is it really worth it? Probably not. It's not really worth it to be using high VOC chemicals, especially as a professional and especially over a long period of time. So major point right there about the VOCs, definitely something to take into consideration. And that's, again, why I don't use these tire dressings all the time. I only use them on select vehicles and specifically really just when clients are requesting them or I'm trying to do something a little extra for that particular client. For today's detail, we're working on an Audi S4, so why not set it off a little extra with some an aerosol-based tire dressing that'll last a little bit longer and it just has a little bit more shined and polished look, in my opinion. Definitely something to think about. Now, next up, he says aerosols are typically better than the, spray-based equivalents, I think is what he's saying in this next kind of little section. And for the most part, I think I actually do agree with that, but I think it would heavily depend on the specific two chemicals that we're comparing at the time. I'm sure there's some really, really good glass cleaners that aren't aerosol based, and I'm sure there's some really, really crappy aerosol based cleaners out there. This last point that he makes right here is huge, guys. Now, this last point that he brings up here, guys, where he says chemical guys could do with a few less SKUs, but they are kind of the gateway brand to get people into detailing. So they have their place in the detailing world, as annoying as their product line can be. Now, I definitely agree with that times a million. I think that's one of the biggest complaints about chemical guys. It's not that their products or their chemicals are crappy or anything like that. It's actually the fact that they like oversell different products. So like for tire dressings, for instance, they might have like 5 different things that you can dress a tire with, and I'm over here thinking that all 5 of these products are just basically the same product that's diluted in 5 different ways, and they market it to you as, hey, this is an all-in-one. You can do your interior dressing and your tires with this, and then they dilute it a slightly different way, and then they're like, oh, this is just an interior rubber vinyl dressing, whatever, and then they'll rebrand it and repackage it a different way and say, hey, this is our new tire dressing, and then they'll rebrand it again and say, hey, and put a new color to it and say, hey, this is our new and improved all-in-one dressing for your interior and exterior. So I totally get what he's talking about with chemical guys having way too many SKUs. They need to just stick to a simple product line. They need to have a tire dressing. They need to have a tire cleaner. They need to have an interior cleaner. And the tire cleaner could be the same as the interior cleaner. It could just be an APC. But anyways, that's kind of the whole gripe, what a lot of people gripe about chemical guys is the fact that they have way too many SKUs, way too many overlapping products, all of that kind of stuff. So I totally get that point. But anyways, guys, Rough Draft is the winner from last week's giveaway. Love your comment, love everything that you said, and I will definitely do more giveaways in the future, more random little weird giveaways like this where you guys can drop your comments in. Sometimes I'll pick it based on somebody that left a thoughtful comment. Sometimes I might just pick somebody at random. So these are random giveaways. Not only are they random as far as when I do them, but they're also random in the way that you win. So I'm going to take my time reading all the comments. If I don't like a comment, maybe I'll pick somebody at random. But usually there's probably going to be a comment in there that I like over just randomly picking somebody. But Anyways, guys, rough draft, you can reach out to me through email. Let me know. Send me like a screenshot of your comment or something so that I can verify that it's you. I will send you $10 through Venmo or Chase QuickPay or whatever is the easiest that we both have. But anyways, that is it for the giveaway. Getting back to the Audi detail for today, guys. This Audi detail went as planned. It turned out amazing. The client was extremely happy with the final results, and he's going to be bringing it back to us in the future to get the interior taken care of, and he already got a quote for his motorcycle. So I'm super excited to actually get started with him, and continue on doing business with him. And this was a great detail for me. I definitely think these are awesome details. They're easily repeatable as far as starting a business and starting a service that you guys can repeat and resell to different people. This is a simple process. It's not overly complicated. We're not using a ton of different chemicals. And yeah, this is typically how my average detail goes on my average client's vehicle. So anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below if your guys' process varies at all from this. I'm sure it does. We all have our different ways of detailing. And yeah, there's not really one specific way to detail any vehicle. So yeah, it's all about getting the results that you want, using the methods that you guys want to use. So anyways, guys, drop down in the comments down below what your guys' detailing process looks like, some of the chemicals that you use, and if you're going to be trying any of this stuff out. But that is pretty much all that I had for today's video. So I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.